Hello everybody, welcome to Behind the Camera Quick Cuts. This is a side series from Behind the Camera podcast where we visit the original spirit of Behind the Camera, talking to streamers, celebrating their journeys, their wins, losses, and the experiences that made them who they are behind the camera. Today my guest is 8BitBarber, retro streamer, and all-round great guy. Jordan, how are we doing today, sir?
Happy to be here, mate. Absolutely delighted to be here, man.
No, my pleasure, my pleasure. It is nice to finally get you on behind the camera in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, but yeah, take us back to the beginning, man. Let's talk about your gaming journey and how that led you into streaming.
The gaming's something that I've had a habit of like picking up and putting down over the years. Where I played a lot as a kid, and then at like early teen years, I got like really into fishing. And so I left it for a while until Elder Scrolls Oblivion became a thing, and then I was like, no, I'm back. I'm back. I got that in the orange box. After getting back into it, for a few years I'd played quite a lot on the 360. I decided to start digging out my old retro consoles, and I started with the SNES, then I dug out the N64, and I was actually talking to somebody about this today. I dug out the N64, and I was playing specifically your game. I was playing Mario 64, and I am dreadful at that game. I was like, I could go some Crash Bandicoot or some Spyro right now. That would hit the spot. So picked up a PS2 from Cash Generators, I think, for like £15. Right, a fat body PS2. I've still got it, man. £15. Ordered a bunch of games on Amazon, and I just started collecting from then. Eventually, I had wanted to get into big box PC gaming and things like I was going to get like a Commodore Amiga, the Atari ST. I was going to start collecting the old computers, and my brother, who's like a pure PC like enthusiast, he was telling me, dude, just buy a fucking modern PC and we'll like I'll set up DOSBox, you can play the games. So I did it, and I think that was kind of what started it. I'd been playing on my PC and I found out I could capture little moments because I didn't know at the time, but the headset I had a built-in mic.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of the time when I'm gaming, I think out loud. So there'd be sometimes where I could just be gaming and something funny would happen, and I'd be like, I wish I could show that to somebody. Wait, I can. And then I'd hit a shortcut and I'd have a little clip, and I started posting these little clips to Facebook, and a few friends were like, dude, you should stream. So I gave it a try for a short while, and no one turned up. No, it was one of my friends turned up a few times, but I was like, I didn't really get it. I didn't quite understand it, and I shelved it up until I got TikTok and I came across Retro Sega 81 and became friends with him. And he actually, like, I was like, dude, this looks like a lot of fun. I would love to do this. And he was like, do it. Like, you need to do it. Just give it a try and see if you enjoy it. So that was exactly what I did, man. I decided to set up. I made a Twitch account and I set up and I streamed for about 6 months. Sometimes I'd maybe have like maybe one or two, sometimes 3 people on a crazy day. But for a lot of like a 6-month period, I'd stream and there'd be no viewers. But I just kept doing it anyway. And then my friend Stevie found out I was streaming, so he started coming in. And then a few friends that I'd made from TikTok, they found out I was streaming. And I couldn't... You remember when there was the 1,000 follower, like, cap?
Yeah.
You couldn't go on live unless you had 1,000. I didn't have 1,000, so no one on TikTok knew that I streamed, but a few found out, and then they started coming over. And before you know it, there was like 3 people watching. I was like, oh my god. There's 3 people want to take time out of their day to watch me play video games and ramble. And then it just gradually grew from there, man.
Aye. That's incredible. Like, I think the retro side of things as well is certainly like I don't even want to say it's a niche, but it's something that's very good for engagement and draws people in because I mean, you look at like the some of the retro creators, especially within the sort of the UK space alone, like it's just
Yeah.
it's incredible. And I think what I really like about it, they're so welcoming and so like kind of, you know, because you find that there are other communities, especially within gaming, that are quite gatekeepy, but with retro, it's kind of
Yes.
just like, no, you know, bring the motherfucking nostalgia right here, you know, and that's exactly like what I love about that.
Exactly. If I could make a direct comparison, right? Did you watch Stranger Things?
Only the first season, but like I kind of know everything and what happens in it. Yeah, it's one of those ones you
So
can't avoid.
there was a scene where they decide to distract these monsters, right? And one of the characters, Eddie, he gets his guitar out and he starts playing Master of Puppets
Yes.
by Metallica, right? And incredible scene. I absolutely loved it. I remember literally screaming "yes!" like when he started playing it. I nearly gave my girlfriend at the time a heart attack. She jumped. She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Tune." But we that that instance drew a lot of people to Metallica. A lot of people who had no exposure to Metallica or any of that kind of metal, they listened to that and they were like, "Oh my god!" And they started delving into these spaces. Now a lot of the people were very gatekeepy, very gatekeepy. Oh, what? So you heard it on a TV show, like, or like this comment if you knew this song before it was on Stranger Things, and it's just proper small winky behaviour, I think, and it and but I found with the retro gaming community, whenever we find somebody who's like they're 21 and they're like, dude, I've been playing these old games from like the PlayStation 1, everybody's like, come in, young man, come in. Like, they're like, we've got so much to show you, and they're excited to share their hobby, their passion, and that space with the younger generation. You know what I mean? So, and even with people who've never played a game before, like, yes, come on in, and we'll tell you about we'll tell you about our favourites. We'll tell you about the ones we don't like. But I think specifically TikTok, the retro community. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it, is arguably the most welcoming and nicest space on the internet, bar
Yeah.
none. Especially the UK side of things, and like the UK and Ireland, that kind of greater area. It's second to none, man. I don't know what it is, but everybody's, as you say, they're so welcoming.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's like what I like about it, especially, is the fact that when you find one creator in that space, you automatically kind of like it just kind of opens up. Like for example, you have yourself, Super Nerd Simon, Video Game Viking, Coach Marv, Lactose Labs. It kind of falls into the retro a little bit. So he's a good collective retro. You know, proper top class people, and that's what I like about there's that sort of shared level of nostalgia. And you know what's interesting as well, you know, when you mentioned like the younger generation coming into streams and being like that, and this is what I love about it as well, because even though our retro being like in our early 30s is different to someone's retro who's like early 20s, it sort of allows them to kind of like go a bit deeper into the rabbit hole. Like and you know, you mentioned Mario 64 before, because I think that's like the most appropriate example, because you would have somebody who's like 20, 22 years old. That was probably the first game that they ever played because that was on the DS, their first console. And then it's just like, well, you know, let's rewind back 10 years for you and get even more nostalgic. Let's go nostalgic for us, you know, but what they wouldn't have seen. And it's like, holy crap, there was a whole other, like, you know, range of things. And like, the good thing about it as well is because it's so, like, I think this was like before the divide of consoles. Like, okay, so after Nintendo 64, were you a Xbox or PlayStation guy?
Honestly, neither.
Neither. Okay.
No, because I had we got um I remember getting a PlayStation 2, and I remember it was my older brother who was always the one that was pushing, like, at Christmas, I want the new console, right? He wanted the new, whatever the new console was, or at Christmas or a birthday, he wanted it. I, even at the point where the original Xbox was there, I was still plugging in the SNES and playing Super Mario World, right? Or Aladdin. But
Oh, great game.
oh, so good. But when the original Xbox came out, we had the Xbox. I played Halo for the first time, blew my mind. And then I went right back and booted up the PS2 and played Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. So I always jumped. I never had the mentality where newer is better. That didn't exist. That was, and I think it's part of the reason why I'm as big into retro games as I am, because I've got an uncle who's not much. He's not much older than me. He's only in his 40s. And when we were kids, he was like in his teens, and like he would get. I remember we had a Sega Mega Drive and a Master System in the house. Those were my dad's. My dad had bought them, but I didn't play them as often. So, me and my brother played them all the time. They ended up in a room, and we just played them constantly. My uncle had a Super Nintendo, but then he bought a PlayStation 1 when that came out. So he had the PlayStation 1. He wasn't interested in the Super Nintendo anymore. So he says to my dad, "Do you want these for? Do you want this for the kids?" So we got like the SNES, the Super Scope, all these kind of things. I've still got that Super Nintendo. That I still own that. That is one of my prized possessions. It is wildly nicotine stained, but it's not quite wholly retro Nicotendo. Or was it Brown Tendo? I think Brown Tendo was but it's not quite that bad. But he gave us that, and then we ended up. Eventually, my dad, my mum got the PlayStation 1, so my brother was obsessed with that. But I was still jumping in between them, and then when my brother, he wanted the PlayStation 2, so as soon as he had that, he wasn't interested in the PlayStation 1 anymore. I was still playing the PlayStation 1. I'm like, give me the hand-me-downs. Give me them. Give me all of them. You don't want that Game Boy because it's not in colour? I'll play it. I'll play Earthworm Jim on that. That's fine for me. And I've just stayed like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Joe, I was exactly the same growing up, man. Like, I was 100% like the two older brothers. They kind of moved on to like, after we had the N64 as a family console back when we were kids. Then PS2, not the natural progression, PS2, and then I think it was post PS2. That's when most people kind of went between Xbox or PlayStation after that. And my brothers ended up like having Xboxes, and then they moved to PlayStation. And for me, it was always like, I was just delighted the fact that I was able to still play N64 uninterrupted, because nobody cared about it anymore except me. And I was just like, yes. And
exactly.
After a point, like, and I still gave my brother shit for this because, so he bought a GameCube. And I GameCube at the time. I always thought at the time they were quite hard to get. Like, I remember don't remember very many people having them back whenever we were kids.
No, me neither, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't for the fact that they didn't sell. Well, I think it was for the opposite reason, to be honest. Like, it might have been like an expense issue or something. I'm not too sure, but anyway, like, my brother had one, bought a load of games, and I was just like, yes. And I was fully ready to be like, here, he was moving out, and I was like fully ready to be like, here, can I have these? And then about a week later, he was like, oh yeah, I sold them on a rake of games for 40 quid. And I'm like, mate, what are you fucking doing?
Oh. It's one of those scenarios where you're like, I would have given you more.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just to keep it. Like I'd have given you £40, 50 pence. Just
100%.
But no, you look at the price of some of them now, man. You look at the price of some of the fucking GameCube games.
Oh yeah. Like, that's the thing, and I think because retro's become such a big thing now, like in like collecting everything, the value of them, and like this is the time to have them, and to like like 10 years ago when you kind of going through, you finish school, you're going through your old stuff, and you're like kind of I'm gonna maybe. This is the time where people are rubbing their hands and be like, yes, now what I've got is valuable, like, and there we go. That there, Silent Hill. I mean, I would. I don't even want to imagine how much that would go for if you walked into a CEX today.
You want me to ruin your whole day?
Go for it.
I bought that online. It was either eBay or Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly. 50, 60 quid.
Okay.
Right. It arrived, sealed. I was like, I didn't know much about the game. I'd seen an episode of Game Grumps where they played it. My friend had sent me it, and he was like, dude, we need to play this at some point. It arrived sealed. I opened it. There's a copy on eBay that listed right now for $5,000. I don't think they're going to get it for $5,000, right? But I bought something for 50, 60 quid, and it arrived sealed, and I had no idea what I had in my hands, and I just opened it.
Wow, man. But even still, like, if you were to sell that, I think you'd still be upwards of 100
easily
for secondhand. So but I know what you mean. That is just that's like going back to like 2011, 2012, and someone's like, oh yeah, I've heard of this thing called Bitcoin, but I don't think it's ever going to take off here. Like,
like have you seen the guy that put a sys key on his laptop and he couldn't remember the password? There's the other guy who his hard drive got flung out and it had millions worth of Bitcoin on it.
Oh man.
And he's like, he's went to a landfill and like dug through a landfill to find us.
Oh wow.
Which I commend the guy for his strength.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah.
I would have taken a running swan dive into the nearest active volcano if that happened to me. I'm not coming back from that. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. Man. Oh man, that's heartbreaking right there. Like, but so. On the topic of like the games that you play then on your stream, like, and I think what kind of, as a retro streamer, what makes you stand out is like the choice of games that you play. So obviously Spyro, that seems to be like your main game. But then outside of that, I think the first time I ever came across your stream, you were playing A Dog's Life. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Dog's Life? Yeah. Now,
Dog's Life.
Yeah. That game to me is particularly memorable because the first time I ever played it, it was, in fact, probably the only time, it was from a demo CD from PlayStation Magazine about 25 years ago or something like that. So, like, when it comes to, like, your choice of games, like, outside of, like, outside of, like, Spyro, what's the thought process going into these particular games?
A lot of it came from Dog's Life specifically. I just got bullied into playing that. That was literally, and it was specifically. I'm calling you out, right? I'm calling her out. It was Katie from Splash of Spectrum. It was her. She kept at me, you need to play it, and I tried to get it running on an emulator. It didn't work. I went out and bought the game and set up a capture card and managed to get it running. And I thought it was going to be like, this was one of these instances where I didn't know, I hadn't ever seen much of the game. I was aware of its existence. I knew people who owned it. I had seen little snippets here and there, but I thought it was going to be more of like a Nintendogs type deal.
Oh, okay.
Where you were like, I was getting a nicotine pouch there. I didn't want to do that.
No, you're all good, dude.
But like, I thought it was going to be that. I thought it was going to be something along those lines, and I decided to give it a try. And I was like, this is unironically brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
I love this. And I decided to play through the full game. I've completed that game so many times. Just because every now and again I'll be like, it's time. It's time again. And I'll launch the game up. I actually got with that game, and I found that with these more, I don't want to call them unpopular titles, right?
Yeah.
But unpopular to stream titles.
Yes. Yeah.
I found that I had the biggest growth in my channel streaming these games.
Yeah.
Because at the time, right, when I started on TikTok, I didn't actually start as a retro game streamer. I started as a survival game streamer.
Oh, okay.
I was playing like 7 Days to Die and The Forest and those kind of games.
Yeah.
But I would occasionally do retro. It doesn't work on Twitch unless you've already got a follow, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't do anything. So when I came onto TikTok, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to play some retro. But I found that when I came on, I was like, I want to play Crash Bandicoot, and I thought, well, everybody's playing Crash Bandicoot. Like, literally everybody. Like, specifically at the time, all it would take is 2 swipes, they would find another guy playing Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Probably someone more entertaining than me. Probably someone they've already watched before. Maybe probably someone who's better at the game than me. So it's you would see people come in, but you would see people leave. So my thought process was, what are games that I like to play that I don't see being streamed? And I came up with a few, and Dog's Life was definitely one of those. I had not seen anybody stream it not on TikTok, not on Twitch, not on anything. I hadn't seen anybody ever stream it. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a try, and I've streamed it a number of times, and it's the same reaction every time. People are like, "Oh my god, I haven't seen this in years," or "Like Dog's Life on my For You page? Are you serious?"
Yeah.
And then they're in. The same applied to. Do you remember Heart of Darkness on the PS1?
Rings a bell, but I don't think I ever came across it.
I recommend it, right? I highly recommend it. You please do not take a flight to Scotland to beat me up after playing it, right? Because it will frustrate you. It's very like Abe's Odyssey
Right.
in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, if that makes sense. It's one of these. Some people would say it's the Dark Souls of its time, right? I disagree. I think that Dark Souls is the Heart of Darkness of its time. It's the game is brutal, but it's brilliant at the same time, and it's another game that nobody streams. Same with Rugrats Search for Reptar.
Yeah.
You a handful of people, because they look at it as being it's just a silly game, you know what I mean? But if you can have fun playing it, and you can engage with your audience, you're putting out something that they're not getting to see, and a lot of the people that come into the chat haven't seen these games since they were a kid.
Yeah.
It's like a memory unlocked situation, and that's a big draw, and it's a big deal to a lot of people. And those people might come back in. They might drop you a follow. You might never see them again, but they might come back in, and they might start to get to enjoy the vibe of the live. They might start to get to enjoy the community, and before you know it, they're in every live. You're playing Skyrim, and they've turned up because they want to hang out there, because you've created a space that's enjoyable for people, and all it took was you doing something weird. You know what I mean? Like playing something that was a bit out there that they hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah, and I think that's like the sort of thing that TikTok has over Twitch, because the way I look at it, like Twitch is very kind of purpose built. in terms of it's a streaming app. You know what you're looking for when you go onto that app. You're looking
Yeah.
for streamers of a certain game or whatever it may be. But with TikTok, it kind of gives you that sort of extra leeway to do something different. And now ultimately, like, you know, I mean, discoverability in terms of what kind of helps you get that initial boost, massively down to luck. There is like a huge element of luck on both sides, you know,
Huge.
but at the same time, there is that perseverance. But with TikTok, perseverance and consistency has a much better payoff because, okay, right. Let's say, for example, you streamed Search for Reptar and Dog's Life on Twitch for 6 months solid. The algorithm wouldn't give a fuck about that. Like, let's be honest with it. Do you know what I mean? But on TikTok, it's just, I don't know what way their algorithm works, but like, look what the results have done for that view. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
you know, very, very, very fruitful, and that's like, I think that's really good about it. But then, do you find as well though, like, whenever you go, because I know you've started streaming a lot more on Twitch as well, and you know, trying to kind of expand all of your socials. That do you find that it's hard to bring people over to Twitch whenever they were like TikTok originals?
Yes. I think it's one of these, and I found and you know, I can't be mad at people because I found myself doing the same. I
Yeah.
found myself doing the same where there's people that I followed and I've not like I followed them on TikTok and I haven't jumped in to their Twitch. So I make a point now, if I know someone's doing a dual stream, I'll go over to their Twitch and I'll hang out on there as opposed to their TikTok. I'll repost their TikTok so that gets pushed on to my followers. Hopefully, you know what I mean. They'll see that it's been reposted. But I'll go over to their Twitch to try and bolster their viewership over on Twitch because I find that if you think about it, like I feel like streams are kind of like food carts. If I'm to make an analogy here, right? If you've got two food carts, they're side by side. One of them's got a queue, the other one doesn't. You, as a passerby with no knowledge, right, of what they're doing, they could be selling. They say they're selling exactly the same thing. They're selling exactly the same thing, right? You're probably going to go towards the one that's got a queue.
Yeah.
You're likely to go towards the one that's got a queue. The same is true for streams. People are more likely to nip in and spend a bit of time in a stream where the chat is active.
Yeah.
So if I can provide that for people, then that'll help a little bit. But I do find that pulling people over can be a problem, especially if you've got if it's absolutely popping over on TikTok. And I noticed when I was able to do the live streams, right, I can't now, thanks to my internet, for some messed up reason. I can do Twitch and YouTube, I can do Twitch and Kick, I can't do Twitch and TikTok. I don't know why it doesn't work, but it won't work. But when I was on both, and I was trying to be active with both chats, I was a few people that it came over to Twitch, like, legitimately said, I'm going to head back over to TikTok. And I'd be like, well, okay. TikTok's not going to pay the bills, but okay. It's because the chat was busier on TikTok and that was more appealing to them. So I think that people that are able to do the dual stream, I wasn't sure if it felt manipulative, but when you see like a dual stream and they've got chatting on Twitch, I feel like the people who do that end up becoming more successful because if they're playing the games that people are interested in, if you're playing, like, say you're playing Search for Reptile, right, and you've got that up, chatting on Twitch, you're not looking at the TikTok chat, you're looking at the Twitch chat. People who want to speak to you, they want to become part of it, end up going over to Twitch. Whereas if you're doing it the way that I'm doing it, it's just when they feel like it, and it takes quite a long time. So it's been very difficult to move people over, man.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it, it, it's a real tough one because I think, as a streamer, you kind of have to. There's decisions you have to make in terms of what it is you do, and ultimately, with what depending on what your end goal is with streaming. Like for me personally, like I will see somebody who, and like streaming's kind of, well, there's a whole different conversation. But streaming is one of these things where I think there are more people getting into that. You can kind of tell it's only because their videos do well, but that's a whole other conversation, like for another time. But when I see somebody and there says chatting over on Twitch, I'm immediately like, well, as a TikTok user, I'm not going over to Twitch. Like I actually could probably count on one hand the amount of people I watch on Twitch these days because of how much more I use TikTok. Like it's just a lot of people I know. Like if I see you on Twitch, I will obviously always call in and say hello. But generally speaking, it used to be just like Twitch was my TikTok, like back in the day.
That was your platform.
Yeah, 100%. But now it's very much kind of. But I think what sometimes people don't really realize is that, or maybe it kind of gets lost and forgotten sometimes, is like TikTok is not a streaming platform; it's a social media platform.
Yeah.
Twitch is solely a purpose-built streaming platform. It's just a feature on TikTok, and I think, great for discoverability, great for building communities, especially because have you ever been into like different streams on both TikTok and Twitch? But it's and you kind of like the sort of vibe of the streamer, but their audience and their community are basically dog shit. Like,
yes, there was. I won't say who.
no,
right?
of course.
Because it's not their fault. But I remember watching a streamer quite a while ago, and they were playing Oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time playing it, and they went to save the game, and I looked at the amount of save files that they had. Massive amount of save files, huge amount of save files, and I was like, oh, because I immediately remembered something that happened to me literally just a few months before watching this person's stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, delete some of those old save files, because on Oblivion, if you get over 20 save files, then your save files can corrupt.
Oh, okay.
And that was what happened to me, and I lost a lot of progress. I put the game down for about a month because of that, because I sat for a day and I was just grinding for a day, and it broke, and the way they handled it was kind of strange as well, because they went, chat, is that true? Right? And then a bunch of the chat and some of the mods were like, no, that's not true. And I was like, they were saying that only happens on the console version. And I was like, dude, it literally happened to me on the PC version. That was where it happened to me. I put an exclamation point and like the emoji. I was like, it literally happened to me on a PC. And one of their mods just responded, calm down.
Fuck's sake.
And I was like, okay, like, fuck all you guys. Like, I'm out. That was the overall response, was just calm down. And I'm like, you know what? If it happens to you, don't say it.
100%. Yeah, it is a shame that, like, and I mean, you never really know what's kind of what a streamer's like, personally and stuff like that. Like, because a lot of them are locked into their games, but you kind of think, you can't help but think, but sometimes that there are definitely streamers there who are very content with the sort of small number of their closest followers, and that everybody else who comes in, it's kind of like, they're the ones who need to be persistent in order to be welcomed into the community, kind of thing. And like, it's I mean, it's a whole strange thing, because when you look at it, like, as a streamer, or any kind of creator, like you you don't choose this goal, but your goal is to entertain people, because if that's what if you want to grow, that's what you have to do. That's not why you stream, but it's something that you have to do if it's in line with your goals. You have to be like somebody I had on the show a couple of years ago said to me, like, if you're a streamer, you're like a TV show. You have to maintain that consistency of entertainment and value for your viewers, because your viewers are also your value. But you kind of have to like look at some streamers, just think, I'm trying to like be a part of this because I like what you're doing, but there are certain things about your community that are just very gatekeepy. And it kind of goes back to what we said at the start, where it's like the vibe of some people is just like gatekeepy. It's like, no, I'm not taking on any new viewers at this point, it's just, I'm just glad you don't get that with the retro community. Like, I can safely say I have been into like a lot of different streams, and they've been all like, oh, you like older games, you're in the right place, and that's just exactly what it should be. I think there has to be a give and take with yourself as a streamer, your community, and new viewers.
I think you're right. I think, as you said, there's three things that I think you need at least one of them if you're going to become a streamer.
Mm-hmm.
You need one of three. If you've got all three of them, brilliant. You need to either A, be really good at a game, B, be entertaining, or C, be able to engage effectively with the people in your community, with your chat. If you can hit one of those three, you're going to do well. If you can hit all of these, like, you're absolutely smashing it. And it's something that I tell people quite a lot when they're thinking about getting into it. Like, make sure that I'm like, are you a maverick at a specific game? They would say, well, no, I like gaming. Well, okay, then what your focus should be is interacting with people and being entertaining while you play the game. That should then be your focus. I know that there's some streamers out there that they don't really interact with their chat as often. They don't spend a whole lot of time speaking to the chat. They just focus on the gaming. But that is their strong point. That's their expertise. You know what I mean? They're really good at a specific thing, and they don't need to. You find it with especially I think with some streamers that play like competitive shooters.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't get a lot of time to dart their attention over to chat, but they're really good at what they do, and as a result, they're entertaining. So they've hit two of the three main points. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think there's some people that, as you say, they start off like that, and then they get just enough of a following that it's sustaining itself, and the new people that come in, it's kind of like, it's like, ooh, who's this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they need to like prove themselves, and I think it's just not the move. I think it's just not the move from a hobby standpoint. Even if you weren't doing it, if you're doing it because you want this to be your job, if you're doing this because you want this to be something where you're going to make money, it's a stupid thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. You're kicking people out of the store, going, "No, I've sold enough today," right? And it's not even halfway through the day. But two, if you're doing this just for fun, then you're just alienating people who could have been part of the fun. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of this for me is bringing people in and just having them enjoy themselves while we're here. Yeah,
100%, man. And I think, nostalgia is definitely one of the more effective ways to do that, because, like I always say, when it comes to streaming in general, your audience is already connected through their interest in the game particularly, but I think nostalgia has that little bit more power because it's reminding you of like of something could be a better time in your life, or in time things were easier. Just those like days that you don't have anymore, that you just enjoyed so much and maybe took for granted. Like I think we all did. I think we all took the times that we had, like what is the stereotypical kind of Friday night, you have your friends over, you play Mario Kart, you get a pizza, that kind of thing, like those, which, yeah, like everyone misses those days, and they just love the old things, and something kind of got lost. And so it's like, why alienate people who just want to kind of, because, and the thing is as well, there are a lot of viewers who might be very, very socially awkward, or they might have a difficult time socially, and online is where they kind of get that kind of connection. And like, if they're getting like, treated like that in the online space too, like that's just as bad as it is in real life, I think. Like, genuinely, I think.
Yeah. And I think, as you say, just as bad as in real, I think sometimes the way that some people can behave online towards like a potential viewer, if they were to do that to somebody in real life, they'd be mortified with themselves.
Oh God, yeah.
Because they'd think, I was horrible to them. If they went out for a few, say they went out for a few drinks, right, and they behaved the way that some streamers can behave towards a new viewer, and flip the scenario. It's a house party, and there's a group in the kitchen, and one of the new guys who comes in, it's one of the friend group's boyfriend or something, and he comes into the kitchen, and you get that one loudmouth that's just unnecessarily rude to them, and they leave the party. You'd be mortified. If you woke up the next morning and someone told you did that, you'd be mortified. But I think there's a lot of streamers who do that quite regularly to people online, and I think that, like, I don't think that impacts any less.
No,
you know what I mean?
100%. Because the thing is, as a viewer, you're still going to remember that, and you will still come across their content, and it'll just leave you with a bitter taste. And the thing about that, I think, with in the online space, it kind of spreads to mutual connections, and like particularly in some communities where it's very much like, oh yeah, this person follows this person, but we don't like this person, so we automatically don't like. It's like, dude, it's not that deep. Like, it's not that deep. There's a massive difference between people the way people are online for the most part versus how they are in real life.
This person follows that person, and we don't like that person. I dealt with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a big way. And it happened twice. It's only happened twice, and I've been doing this for I'd say almost about 3 years now.
Yeah.
But it's only happened twice, so that's not that bad. But there was one instance that I had to put up a video defending myself, because I had to basically kick a streamer out of my Discord server, and they consistently violated rules. When it was brought up that they violated rules, they would do things like weaponize their mental health. There was a lot of emotional manipulation going on, so they got kicked. They decided to go and do the rounds with all the other retro gaming streamers. They did it to one guy, a friend of mine. He ended his stream because he got that angry about the fact that they had attempted this, and they subsequently got blocked by effectively everyone.
Yeah.
Because they immediately, instead of going, okay, you know what, right, my bad, they went round and tried to. It was as if they were trying to do damage control, but it wasn't damage control. It was they were trying to damage me. One of the other instances was someone that I'd been friends with for a little while, and I'd made them a mod on a channel. They had a falling out with another friend, a mutual of mine on here, and a few people tried to like step in as mediators and be like, right, well, we'll calm it down. It just kept escalating and escalating, and I was like, I'm not gonna take any sides right now. I'm just gonna let these guys let it mellow out. You know what I mean? And it seemed like it did until one night on a live, I was middle of a game. I'm like, I need to pee. I got up and I left and I came back, and you know when your moderators block someone, it shows you. So this guy hadn't been on. I forgot he was actually a moderator for me because he was a moderator when I just started. I forgot that he was. When I came back, there was a message on my screen that they had blocked the guy I was friends with from my stream. So I ended up with like a whole slew of messages from people that were like, what happened? And I'm like, I'm fixing it and I'm fixing it now. So he got unmodded and blocked on everything. And oh, we got the inactivity belt.
Oh.
Hang on, I need to do the puzzle.
That'll be coming for me in a
I
minute.
thought the Philip DeFranco hand gestures would have done something, but they didn't.
That's all good.
But yeah, that was it was a strange situation. But we later found out that within this individual's community, they had demanded that their followers blocked all of the creators that they'd fallen out with, and they were sending people in to other creators' chats on like dummy accounts to catch detractors, people who were watching streamers who even one guy in particular who tried to like mediate the situation and was like, well, we should calm this down, guys, and there was some weirdness there, man. There was some weirdness, and it managed to go away. But yeah, there is definitely elements of that, I think, within the streaming community. It's like, oh, well, you know, they follow that person, so I'm not going to speak to them. Or they're friends with this person, I'm not going to speak to them. And it does exist, and it's strange.
For sure. And like, I'll tell you what the sort of craziest part about that is to me is that, you talked about the sort of parallels between real life and online and the people's actions and the consequences. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't get half of that in real life, which is the sort of ironic thing. If somebody doesn't like somebody in real life, they ignore them.
Exactly.
Because the way that if you're trying to like turn all of your friends on somebody or anything like that, then it's like you see them in the street, you got to jump them, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But you're not going to do that in real life. So why go through all that effort online? People make dummy accounts. It's like, how can you be bothered creating a new email every single time? It's so like, for what's supposed to be a safe space for you, the streamer, for your viewers, especially so you when you get to know certain people a bit more personally and like what it is to them, because like when you do it for long enough, people do reach out to you and tell you like sometimes how they really feel, mostly positive. And like and it's so refreshing to hear that as a streamer, for just playing a game, the impact it can have on people. But the fact that like people really turned into something else, like, I mean, maybe we're just from that kind of generation of like early 2000s internet, where if someone said something bad to you on the internet, you just were like, okay, cool, delete conversation on MSN. And I know it's a whole different world now, but it's just, man, like, I don't know. It just kind of amazes me the lengths people go to just sort of destroy.
I made an Insta, and I found that I started the guess the video game character based on the early concept art videos.
Oh yeah, I love that. Love that series. I got 5 out of 5 in the last one, by the way. I totally
Thank you, right? But no, thank you. Right, I actually ended up with a mail, a message from one of my friends. I hadn't spoken to him in a little while. But every now and again I see that he likes my posts on TikTok, and he messaged me and says, "Dude, you need to keep making these. Me and my girlfriend sit and like play it together."
It's class.
Now, I don't put the answers at the end of the video, and I don't put it in the comments because I want people to have an honest guess.
Yeah.
At the right, because it's, you immediately take the fun out of it. If I give, this is the way that people work. If you give them the answer, the fun out the fun is completely gone. Right. Now, the following day, I'll post a follow-up video.
Yep.
Just in case people don't want to come back and check the comments. But I'm also in the comments correcting people and being like, yeah, correct. Or no, you got this one wrong. Or yes, correct. It's actually this person. So I got the one of the first comments that I got was one person saying, not giving answers is doing great for your engagement metrics. So it just immediately snide comment, and I was just like, yes, it is. You're right. It's 100%. This is brilliant for engagement.
Exactly.
Like the video's getting nearly 500,000 views. One other person was like, "Why not put the answers in the video? Jesus Christ, what's the point of uploading this shit without giving us the answers?" And I decided at that point, I have time today. So I was like, it's a quiz. You're supposed to give your answers, and then the next day I come back and I give you the right answers, right? Kind of like radio shows do this.
Yep.
Radio shows very frequently, they do the same thing. They'll ask a question at the end, and everybody texts in their answer. At the end of the week, they reveal the answer. They'll pick like a random one. So I don't know why I decided to be snide, but it's similar to that. Like, I probably wouldn't wind somebody up as often in the street. It would depend on my mood. It would probably depend on my mood, actually. I probably would, realistically. I've got too much carry on in my head. But I'd said it's a quiz. Like, you're supposed to give your answers. I come back later with the answers, and then we see how many were correct. Do you throw a tantrum every time you see a Sudoku puzzle? And then I followed it up with, if you like, I could give you a filled-in crossword puzzle to look at while we wait on the answers to this one. What do you mean? People are so used to instant gratification that if you don't hand them the answers at the end of the video or immediately in a pinned comment at the top of the post, they flip. I kept this guy going for quite a while. He kept commenting, he kept coming back, and he spun some yarn about me being, you're so young and new to the internet that you can't handle a negative comment, and I was just like, I decided to wind him up a bit further, and I said, is this like a middle-aged guy thing where you just get angry at posts? And by the end of it, I just said, thanks for the engagement, King, with a little kissy face. Because he'd left like a whole slew of comments. The guy was getting a lot of likes on the comments, but he's getting a lot of likes by people who are probably as dickheaded as he is. You know what I mean? I'm not fucking interested. I'm not swayed by those opinions. It's as you say, the way that people will react with it. Do you know what the perfect comparison would be? Do you remember those football cards that you would get? There'd be like maybe 30 or 40 teams on it, and you would pick a team. Usually like little kids football clubs, or like
yeah,
or scouts, or like those kind of things. They would do like a football, and you give them like, it's like £2 per number. And then at the end, it's revealed who the winner is, and whoever's name is on that football team, they win it. Yep. It's like that. I never seen anybody be a dick to any of those kids and go, well, who wins? I've paid you £2. Who wins? Like, you think that you watching the video and leaving a comment is heating my home? No, it's not. I'm on Instagram. I've got like 400 followers. I don't make anything from this. What are you talking about? You absolute sausage wallet. It's
costs more in electricity to make the fucking video than you get out in a return.
Dude, exactly. I don't make anything on this. I've occasionally went live on TikTok and made enough to order myself a Big Mac meal. I'm not making money here. We're still needing to work full time. This is for fun.
Yeah.
But people take it so seriously. They take it so seriously. I think the second that they see, even on Insta, I've not got a following, but the second that they see on TikTok that you've got 12k followers, you're just in it for the money. I don't make anything.
Yeah, like, and that's it. People are so, like, driven by the metrics as well. And, like, you know, because you've been very open about your experience with TikTok since hitting 10k and applying to the creator fund, and like, people just don't see that. And like, I'll be honest, like, there are certain UK creators in like the sort of football space, and I'm not the biggest football fan, but there are some things I do like. These are like filter based ones, and I'll like watch them, but I get so baited by the way that these guys do their videos, because you can tell it's very, very engagement bait driven and all this kind of thing. And like, I don't comment or like in them. I don't give them the engagement, just the minutes, because I like these challenge videos, but it's these guys' personas. They're very much like kind of overacting, over the top, kind of, you know. It's quite bad. Like, but the thing is, it annoys me. But then you go into the comments, you just say, "Oh, he's just, you know, engaged." It's like you don't have to say this. Like, you don't have to get. You can be annoyed by all means, but you do not have to lash out at people. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like what you said as well. Think back to how you would be in public, in real life, in that situation. You know, like, if you walk past somebody in the street and they're doing, or you overhear a conversation and it's something that you don't like, now unless it's completely, you know, left field, you're just gonna like kind of, you might sort of double take a bit of a weird look and then just kind of get on about your day and you forget about it. But it's like the comments on how, you know, how these people sort of perceive themselves and how they really show themselves in their comments on social media makes you think that they are storming about the street every day, throwing haymakers at every Tom, Dick, and Harry that they see, because the sheer sight of them just fucking pisses them off. It's like, no, it's like and oh, man, I hate to say it, but it's usually the ones with the British flag in their profile picture.
A lot of the time. A lot of the time. Dude, the meanest comments I've ever got, and I don't mean to disparage anybody.
No,
the meanest comments I've ever got, I've went on to they've got a Bible verse in their profile, and I'm like, you're supposed to be nice. That's the whole idea of this. You're supposed to be nice to people.
Yeah. It's that, or be kind because you don't know what other people are going through.
Dude, yeah, the mental health awareness warriors, the be kind people are some of the most mean-spirited that you will ever meet in your life. And what I tend to find is that usually they're leaning in towards mental health awareness is that, please be aware that I have this excuse for my terrible behaviour towards everyone.
It's like,
be aware of that. But don't be aware of other people's feelings.
It's like that, or I'm going to give you another person's mental health to be aware of in the future. It's just like, you know, make it make fucking sense, man. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like, but honestly, it's like, the internet should be a safe space. People's free will is often abused, and people are just generally a bit odd.
They're strange, as you say. It's a weird thing, and you will see it, and it's one of these things that you will continue to be exposed to if you're online and you're in these spaces. I went live on YouTube. YouTube's bad.
Really?
Have you ever been live on YouTube?
Oh, a couple of times, but I think I ended it after like 30 minutes because it just was sitting there like a spare dick, like just eating up CPU.
You'll either get a few cool people in, you'll get some people that'll come in that maybe a handful of comments, or you'll get people spamming racial slurs. Like,
yeah, the moderation's not, it is basically non-existent on YouTube. Like, in terms
do you know the way?
of,
Do you know the way they do it is they'll do it letter by letter, comment by comment. So what I do is I keep the chat open, and then I'll break their comment midway through and say, "Get it up, you sunshine." I've just fucking, I've broke your wee attempt at being a racist. I banned a guy one time. He came into the chat, right? And this is like one of these beautiful moments where someone else is like, have you ever seen someone destroyed by their own stupidity?
Oh yeah, it's so satisfying.
It's gorgeous, right? He came in and he spammed, like, in quick succession. The chat was moving quite quick. It was a busy night. I think it was one of these. A while back there, I was pulling decent numbers. I think there were like maybe 30, 40 people in the chat, right? So the chat was moving quite quick. And I'd seen that he'd spammed the same racist joke 3 times. And I looked and I went, absolutely not. And I was like, no, mate, not happening. I don't tolerate any form of bigotry. It was like, this is for everyone.
Yep.
We have people from all over the world sitting in here. That's not on. He got banned, right? He got blocked. It turned out this guy had been in my streams a number of times, right? He was on his alt account in my stream. He decided to come into my stream on his main account and be like, dude, what the fuck? I was just making a joke and you're going to ban me? Like, I've watched you for months. And I was like, thank you for coming on your normal, on your regular account so I can block you on that one as well, you fucking idiot. If you shine a light through one guy's ear, it'll come through that guy's ear, it'll come out the other.
Like, if you're ever going to do something so stupid like that, like, take it as a lesson learned to not do anything like that again and just, read the room. Like, yeah. Oh my God, that is tremendous.
You would have thought that he would have looked at it and went, oh shit. But then he decided to come in up in arms about the fact that that I banned his troll account. I'm like, dude, for what? Oh.
Oh. Why is, Oh. Oh.
Oh. That's my bad. That's
bad. Hilarious. Okay, for those who are unaware, the live has been restricted for harassment and bullying. How ironic.
when we're calling that out. But anywho, moving on.
It's so true. It's so true, man. Honestly. Oh man. I think actually that's probably a good time to wrap it up as well.
We quite probably just before we get like the dung ding ding kind of the weird ringtone that it sounds before it bans.
Yeah, that's right. I'm surprised I never got hit with that, but yeah, no, that's.
Do you want me to give you a laugh?
Go on.
Before you
go. We'll end on this note here.
I've had it a number of times on TikTok, and it's one of the whole reasons I was moving towards Twitch. One was Mirror's Edge, right? Because it decided that her tribal tattoo was a QR code. Right? So the next was Lego Lord of the Rings, because it decided that I was just streaming a movie.
Oh my God. There is no way.
The 4 times. Did you play Castlevania?
Years ago, yeah.
Rondo of Blood, the first boss that you fight is a she-wolf. When you hit the she-wolf, it screams. I got banned for 2 weeks for gender-based violence and discrimination. And the last and most egregious was in Heart of Darkness, where one of them shows a drawing. It's like the sage. He shows a drawing and it's supposed to be of what the kid most desires, but he's done a drawing of one of the other aliens, and it's like a fat alien, so it's got like moobs. And I got banned for 2 weeks for nudity from a drawing from a game from the 90s.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yeah. Oh, TikTok, sort that shit out. Sort.
10 years from now, we'll look back on it and go, you remember when it was like that, but
Yeah,
it's
TikTok.
going to be 10 years.
TikTok does not like alien ditties. Like, it's no. Oh man, Jordan, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on Behind the Camera Quick Cuts. Thank you so much for your time.
This has been so much fun, dude.
It has been, man. I really, really enjoyed this one. It takes the record for the longest Quick Cuts episode as well, which is definitely.
I've just fucking realised, dude, I was supposed to be on for half an hour. I do this with every podcast, and I can only apologise.
No, listen, mate. That's the sort of that's what I do with it. It just let the conversation go, and it's yeah, someone in the comments saying medium cuts here, so yeah, pretty much
medium cut. I suppose it gives you more to cut.
Yeah,
you know
it's
not
not much quick about these cuts anyway. But yeah, so Jordan, you are 8BitBarber on all platforms. Is that correct?
On all platforms except from Instagram, because some Filipino guy beat me to it, and he doesn't even barber anymore, and I'm raging about it. But I'm 8bit.barber on Instagram, but on everything else, it's 8BitBarber. I need to phone that guy. So I've got a friend who's Filipino. I might actually see if I can get him to track him down and be like, "Mate, let me buy your name, please."
I'd be curious to see if the Philippines is anything like the smaller parts of the UK where everyone knows each other. So there we go. There's the next story unfolding.
I'll ask my mate Dennis next time he's up for a haircut, man.
Yes, definitely make sure to drop 8BitBarber a follow on all platforms from YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and definitely check out his content, check out his lives, especially if you like good crack, retro gaming, everything. It is just a very, very good place to be. And most importantly, as we have really established throughout the episode, a safe place to be. And that will do us for episode 4 of season 2 of Behind the Camera Quick Cuts. I have been Andy, formerly Andy Games. Thank you very much. Definitely make sure, if you are new here, to drop a follow on TikTok at Behind the Camera Studios, on Twitter at Behind the Cam Pod, YouTube Behind the Camera Studios, and Instagram Behind the Camera Studios Ltd. And also, I have recently released a book, Behind the Camera: The Journey So Far. So if you like stories about, if you like podcasting, streaming, real life kind of things, definitely make sure to check that out. We will be back again with another installment of Behind the Camera Quick Cuts soon, and we will be live again on TikTok for that. So make sure you tune into that. But until then, we will see you soon. Peace.
Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.